When I stopped busying myself with all of the people, the places, the things, the obligations, I actually heard her calling out to me, asking for me to just come and sit with her.
Elevate with Monique. Elevate. Elevate with Monique.
What's up, ladies? Welcome back to another episode of Elect Elevation with your hostess, me, Mo. And in today's video, we are talking about how the connection to our little girl, our inner child, is developed through grace and silence. Now, the reality is that many of us spend so much of our time in the noise, with work and family and our children, our spouses, our jobs, our businesses. And while all of that is necessary, it is needed, in many cases, we can't do without it, we run the risk of neglecting to hear and connect to our inner child. We can't hear the voice of our inner child or even Holy Spirit when we are so busy with everything that is going on around us. Now, let me preference everything that I'm going to say in this video by first saying I am a believer. And so I will never negate the need and the reality that Holy Spirit is the first voice that we should be hearing in our prayer time, in our hearts, and in our spirit. But there's also another voice that if we are not careful, if we do not cultivate the space to be able to hear it, we will miss it. And that is the inner child that is inside. Now, I'll be honest and say, when I first started to do this work and I first started to connect with the little girl inside, honey, I was a busybody. I was all over the place. I was doing all the things. I was a mom, and so I had responsibility and obligations there. But then just in my social life, I was always going, I was always doing, and I really missed out on opportunities that perhaps that little girl was calling out to me to come and spend time with her. I was missing the opportunity because I was so busy in my life. And those things were important. I needed to do them, but at the cost and the expense of not being able to attune my ear to what it was that she was saying, it was detrimental in my life at that time. And really what happens is when we busy ourselves with all of the things that I just mentioned, it does prevent us from having connection. When we develop a relationship with God, one of the things that we're taught, or at least I was taught, is to start to listen for the voice of God, right? And I remember thinking, like, how do I even know God's voice? I don't know what God's voice sounds like, right? And I remember talking to a spiritual advisor and them kind of suggesting to me that just listen. Don't be so focused on the sound, like what the voice sounds like, but what's coming up for me. But what I learned later is that the voice of God actually sounded like my voice. It didn't sound like a deep, masculine thing that we hear in voiceovers and recordings when they're imitating God. It sounded like my voice. And the same thing with the little girl inside. She sounded like me. She sounded like my voice, just younger. But I didn't know what that sounded like at first because I was so busy with everything in my life that I didn't even know how to connect enough to hear that voice. The other thing is when we're so busy, we really avoid silence because it can be so loud. I've heard people say, I don't want to sit with myself because it's just too loud. I can't concentrate. And if you think about it, silence can absolutely be loud, especially when you are so used to hearing things externally. When you shut everything down and shut everything out and you just sit and you listen to silence, you actually do hear like a ringing or a humming in your ear. And for some people, that sound can be so very loud that it might even be overwhelming. If you've never tried it, I have an activity for you if you stay to the end that I want to share with you. And it's going to test how comfortable you are with the silence. Another issue that we have or we can find ourselves in when we don't take this time and we're so busy is we don't know how to train our ears to listen. That is why the phrase and the cliche, we have two ears and one mouth, is so, so important. Because when we are not focused on being quiet, we're always doing this, right? We're always talking. We're always singing, talking to our children, our business friends, or whatever the case might be. We're doing a lot of this and we're not doing a lot of this. And the problem with that is when you're talking so much that you aren't silent, it's very hard for you to train your ears to even attune to what it is that the little girl is saying, that Holy Spirit is saying inside. Okay. So I have a couple of tips that I want to share with you that I've used and I even continue to use right now that hopefully might be beneficial for you. Number one is just sit in silence. Just sit. Okay. And when you are sitting in silence, I want you to not be judgmental of what comes up. You are just choosing to sit. Now, here's the caveat. You want to incorporate practices like this on your own voluntarily versus it being chosen for you. And you know what I'm talking about. There have been times, I know for me, there have been times where God he sat me down. There was nothing that I could do about it but sit down. And in those moments, I had to start learning to listen. But you don't want that to be your story. Just choose to sit, okay? And then in the silence, allow that to become your sacred space for you to really go inward, right? You don't have to do all of this big work every time you sit in silence. Sometimes you just need a sacred space in order for you to feel safe enough to just sit, allowing the things to come up, allowing maybe sometimes the fears that you've suppressed to just come forth, right? Having this sacred space allows you to confront maybe some of those thoughts that you've pushed in the back of your mind. It allows you to confront the fears that you've avoided for so long. And I'm going to be the first to tell you that those fears do come up. They do, and it's okay. But the problem is we can't heal the things that we don't allow to reveal themselves. And it is in the silence, in the quiet moments, in the sacred moments that you allow those fears to surface so that you can heal them. The other thing that I would suggest is sitting in your sacred space in silence, or wherever you are in silence, will give you the opportunity to receive healing from the little girl inside. See, my little girl inside, I had run from her so long that I didn't even know that there was healing there that she could offer me. And then when I did start doing the work, I was so focused on me healing her that I didn't realize that there was also an opportunity for her to heal me. And so when I understood how important this practice was, how important it is to sit in silence, I started to realize that she had healing power too. Like, that little girl had a lot of healing power, but I had left her for so long. I had neglected her for so long, and I had busied myself for so long that I didn't even recognize the power that she had to support me in my life today. So I want you to try those things. I have an activity I told you I would share at the end of this video. I want for you to set a timer on your phone, 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you can, maybe even 30 if you can push it. And I really just want you to sit. I don't want you to judge. I don't want you to try to change your thoughts. I want you to observe what is happening in your inner world when you sit. When we are so busy with exterior things, what we find when we start to do this work is that our inner world is loud. It's chaotic. It has no order. It is all over the place, right? So you have thoughts that come here and there. You can't control, what to do with those thoughts. You get overwhelmed because you want to focus on one thing, but everything else is coming at you. Don't worry about that right now. I just want you to take 10, 15 minutes and I want you to sit with yourself. Okay? When that time is up, journal. What came up for you? Were you distracted? Was it frustrating because you couldn't do the things or think about the things or not think about the things that you wanted to? Or were you actually able to settle into a place of just silence? I know for me, when I started doing these activities, oh my gosh, my mind was all over the place. And in some ways, I was kind of trying to suppress things that would try to come up for me because I didn't even want to deal with it. And it was a muscle that I had to develop over time. So don't judge yourself wherever you are with this exercise. It's okay. Just do it and try it and see how it works for you. See what comes up for you. Write that down and journal it. And the reason I want you to write it down is because over time, as you continue to do this exercise, you are going to see your journey of how you are able to block out the noise and be able to sit with yourself, sit with Holy Spirit, sit with your inner child, your inner world, and be more focused on what's going on inside versus what's going on outside. So I hope that helps. I hope this will bring forth an experience for you like it did for me and really help you to get curious about what's going on in your inner world. Now listen, sis, your inner child does not need perfection. She just needs connection. And if you don't know where you are, you don't know what that connection looks like for you right now, I invite you to take advantage of the inner child connection assessment that I've created just for you. This tool will help you to identify how connected are you actually with the little girl inside. And then it will help you to know, what does she need from you? Where do you need to go next from here? Do not judge yourself. If you are not connected right now, it just means that we know that we've got some groundwork to lay. If you are connected and it's time to take it to the next level, well, then so be it. But this assessment tool will help you identify that. Listen, I love you so much. I am rooting for you. And drop a comment below and let me know, if you take the assessment, where did you land? And was it surprising to you, or were you pretty much on point with where you thought you were with your connection with your little girl inside? I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.